To the 12 tribes of the children of Israel scattered abroad, in the name of Jehovah our Creator and Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the King who rules the world and who rules the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, Lily of the Valley here, bringing you greeting. Today we're looking at how to identify the tribes, and today we're looking at the Negroes of Peru, how they relate to the Negroes of the Solomon Islands, who say they relate to the Israelites based on King Solomon when his navy went to those islands to bring back peacocks, gold, almug or sandalwood. Those things are found right there. So these are the Negroes of Peru. They're also called Indians in the Solomon Islands when the explorers went there. And of course, you know, West Indians today are the Negroes or the original Negroes of the Americas and the West. So you're going to look at a close relationship between the two of them. Okay? So that's what they look like in Peru and what they look like now. Let's see. So these are what they look like in Papua New Guinea, but there are many tribes in Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. And it's like one of the most diverse places on earth, even though they're black and they all look alike. They all speak different languages, come from different tribes, but some Israelites are scattered amongst them. But when you do look at the Caribbean Negroes, they do look like a lot of us too. And the pidgin English that they speak, notice it's very similar to the Patois that we speak in the islands in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and it's also similar to the Gullah Geechee Carolina Negroes that they speak. So it says their DNA is not conclusive, but one of the things that stand out amongst them is the yellow hair. I remember the Bible talks about when you have black skin and yellow hair. Job 30:30, my skin is black upon me, and then the yellow hair was addressed as a sign of uncleanness in the Bible as well. Now you have some of them said they went there by Solomon's navy at the time of Solomon's navy, and Solomon's navy brought back peacock and almug tree and a 1.5 year journey. You're gonna look more closely into that because some of them say they descend from Solomon through Sara. So that's how some of them say they came there. And then you have Sara in Solomon Islands music. That's something to look at. They have an archipelago of islands, just like we do in the Caribbean. And you know, the Bible said the Most High is going to pick us up from the islands of the sea. Now, a Jamaican guy went there. Let's see. He went to visit Black Travel Vibes, discover of sunken treasure in the Solomon Islands. He's a Jamaican. His travel vlog is Romania, traveling the world. Romania, he visited there, but they do have a lot of similarities with Jamaicans and Caribbean people. So they could be one of the lost tribes of the children of Israel. Now, one of the books that I use, it talks about the Solomon Islands, the discovery. They were called the Isle of Jesus. They thought they found Ophir, like Ophir in the Bible. Ophir is the same as Peru. And they were leaving from Peru to go there for gold because of, you know, word of mouth. So the discovery of the Solomon Islands by Àlvaro de Mendana, that was 1568. You had a whole bunch of Negroes there on that expedition, and they saw a whole bunch of Negroes in the Solomon Islands, and they were not descendant from Europeans or anything, because they were cut off from the world. And they were called the Happy Isles, or the islands of Savo or Solomon, and Cesarga, Spain. So a lot of the Israelites from Spain also went there, because Solomon's brethren were also in Spain, like the tribe of Simeon. So that's how they got there. Now, some things that stood out to me was like Jella. They call that Florida, which we have Florida here. Jella is a name we have in Jamaica, or also Angela. So they call it New Britain. And the Marshall Islands, they refer to them as the Rich Islands, Virgin Undiscovered Territory. And then the Indians of the Sea Gang population of Callao, Callao, that to me stands out like Kalalu, which we have in Jamaica too. And the book that I'm showing you with the discovery, there are black slaves on page 40 and gold and silver as well. The Gala, they thought they were in the Galapagos Islands, but they call it Nina Chompi Fire Island, or Hua Chompi Outer Island. So a lot of the inquisitions of the Catholic Church had the Negroes flee, or the Jews and the Christians who were not Catholics, free to all the islands of the Americas, the islands of Asia, Europe, the Pacific, Africa. Just look up the inquisitions and you will see how they got scattered. But they were in these islands before the Inquisition from the days of Solomon. Now, they were there eating human flesh. That's something that's prophesied in the Bible. They were eating rats. They were eating pigs. Remember Isaiah talked about that all the eaters of that amongst the Israelites, they were going to die and they were going to perish. And cannibalism was found amongst them. It's also a patriarchal society. They practice the bride price as well, which is Israelite custom. So it was not uncommon at that time for persons to be called after their place of birth to distinguish them from the other people of the same name. And they have 5 parishes named Nera, Àlvaro, de Mendana. De Nera was the discoverer who named himself after that. But remember, he said that the islands were named the Solomon Islands based on the oral tradition of the natives. Okay, so on page 40 of that book, it referenced black slaves, page 94, page 95. And it was in 15 degrees of latitude. There were many rich islands 600 leagues from Peru, and they found their people canoes manned by people who were naked and who looked like mulattoes. That's on page 42. Their leader is Te Tariki, or Te Ariki, for chief. And you know, Israelites are ruled by chief priests and elders. And Tariq, that's a name that's common in Jamaica too. So one of their chief was Billy Banara, and they had several killing tribes and several dialects, but they fed and worshipped snakes, lizards, scorpions. On page 52, the snakes would have come from also the Israelite tribes who worship snakes, like Dan, and also a lot of those that were in contact with the Persians. They worship those things too, and they were cannibals on page 52. And they present one of the guys with a quarter of a boy together with some taro roots. And Benny, one of the chief, Benny is a Hebrew meaning son. That's page 248, Chief Benny Bonifa. Okay. And Al-Lan, or Boni, in Hebrew means tent maker. So you gotta look at some of the words they use and the culture and see. The only thing that I have problem with amongst them was that they didn't have a strong written culture, but maybe as we do more research we'll find that out. They had native fowls. And there's Negro again on page 37. On the isle near the river was a Negro badly wounded who proved to be the only survivor of the 10 who landed in the boat, because they killed a lot of the explorers except the Negro boy that survived that. So Guadalcanal, that's similar to Guadeloupe that we have in the Caribbean. And the Olu Mala, the Tree Mala, Huhu, UHU, page 66 of the book. And page 70, it said the islands were there and they disappeared. Now that's part of what the Bible says. The islands been disappearing and appearing. And Huro, that's something that we have familiar in Jamaica. Gold stones in the islands from Peru, the Isla de Solomon, Indians, page 68. Page 86, you have the naked savages. The Bible said that Israelites were going to be in hunger and thirst and nakedness and in want of all things. And some of the islands they seem to have water and inhabitants, and they are now waterless and deserted. So some of those prophecies are fulfilling amongst them. So the Negroes and the Indians, they were referred to as Indians as well, page 82 and on page 74, and we're still referred to as West Indians to this day. All right, so it's very interesting that all the things in the Solomon Islands, including spikenard, ivory, apes, gold, silver, peacock, some of those things, the ships, Solomon ships brought, 1 Kings 10:22, 11, 1 Kings 9:27, and Solomon's navy. And that's on page 86. They have the same pidgin English. And the black skin yellow here is Leviticus 13:13. They had a lot of copper, tin, quartz. And they had also the almug tree, which is called the sandalwood, that was used in the building of Solomon's temple. They have a chief Havi, page 92. And Havilah is where the Shemites dwelt. Fierce warlike, page 92. And Santa Cruz, New Hebrides, page 96. The Hebrides have to do with the Hebrews. They have Marquise or Marquises. That's a common Negro name. And they were pretty isolated. Okay. So, they were expert canal builders and skillful agriculturalists, artists of the Pacific. They used the bow and arrow as a weapon. That's Hebrew culture as well. They had traded in tux and this word NGGAO, Nagao, or Gao or Ga. Nago's head in Jamaica, similar to that nigga, and also the Gao people in, I think, Ghana and those places. So you gotta look to see how they're similar. They use the similar yam and the kind of potato taro that we use, ginger. They have the cacique, just like the Amerindians, where we're called Amerindians. The mami as food, and we call mami in Jamaica as food. Negroes are on page 142 again. They worship snakes, toads, and others. Page 145 refers to Indian. They also worship the devil. Page 188, and you know the 10 northern tribes, a lot of them were idolaters and devil worshippers. So Owariki, that's on page 190. Aguari, they had pineapple, page 202. We also have Warika in Jamaica. So the New Guinea, page 200. The Gilbert Islands, you know, that's a common name in Jamaica, Gilbert. And bright reddish color people rather than mulatto, page 222. Birds of beautiful plumage, page 222. And those were peacocks as well as the ruddy color of the Israelites. There was a white as a Spaniard with a beard, page 250. The Solomon Islanders, who was a ruler almost beardless. So that's something we have to look into as well. But they had spices like basil, tarragon, sarsaparilla. We have that in Jamaica, to oranges. Cypress nuts resembling those of Cartagena, and the almug trees are also similar to the sandalwood that was in Solomon's temple. So they had white, green, red, tawny variety of parrots. There were peacocks, pheasants, eagles, and the other birds of prey, doves. Those are all birds familiar to the Israelites. Page 222, island, the bright reddish color. They were naked, some women clothed. There's an abundance of natural foods, roots, fruits, pigs, and fowls of Castile. Many doves, great pigeon, and other birds of beautiful plumage, which are palatable and wholesome. There is much timber fit for building ships and houses, and many excellent manglers for the net mass of ships. Okay, there is ginger, cinnamon, sandalwood of various kind, aloe, sarsaparilla, and coral. Many indications of gold, dishes of brass, gold coins. They have a court of justice, chiefs. They love learning new things. They believed in the immortality of the soul. That's something Israelites believed in. But they didn't know Jehovah paid 60. But some of the other tribes said they know Jehovah and they call him. Let me see what they call Jehovah in their language. Hold on. I think they call him Jiova. So that's one of how they like Mekevei Jehovah. That would be how they call Jehovah. But I think if they need help in learning their history, they have to reach out to the CARICOM, because that's really the capital of the children of Israel. Not those Israelis who are over there in the land now. They are Japhetites. They are descendants of Ashkenaz. They're not Shemites. So the Shemites of the earth are Negroes of today. So they have their Sara. They say that's who they descend from. So if they could reach out to